Check, 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 check. Let's get to it. You're tuned into the Crucial Convo podcast. Thanks for tapping in as always. If you have not hit the subscribe button, consider doing so. I'm having a good time. I haven't been doing a lot of live, so I'm kind of hopping into these, but we do full episodes every week on Fridays, and then of course reaction videos, of course. But you're tuned into Kojo Afriye, your host, your gracious host on the Crucial Convo podcast. I want to talk about a couple of things tonight. There is so much going on in the world. I almost don't know where to start sometimes. So first thing I want to talk about, I want to get into AI in Hollywood, the big challenge, because this is something that's really interesting. And I'm going to talk about this in longer form on the podcast later on. But before I get into AI, I want to talk about, I just want to give some big ups to my guy, the CEO of Red Lobster, Damola Adamalagan. I always say his last name wrong, but he's a 36-year-old. He took over PF Chang's. If you remember, PF Chang's was in the toilet. They were filing bankruptcy, and he kind of turned the chain around. So he took over Red Lobster, I believe, late last year. I saw his interview on the Breakfast Club. I thought it was dope, and I want to play a little bit of that real quick. Now, Red Lobster, I don't know about you, but growing up, I had great experiences with Red Lobster. It was like fine dining to us back in the day. So any graduation, any special occasion to go out, it was like we hit up Red Lobster, and of course, the cheese biscuits were popping. But Red Lobster's had some struggles. So right now, he is trying to turn this thing around, and I'm gonna play a little bit of this real quick. So let me go over here. Let's play a little bit of what's going on with Red Lobster. Let's check that out real quick.
Full court press to get customers back in the door and make one of the nation's oldest casual dining chains relevant again. Company CEO Damola Adamalagan is leading the transformation.
Do you remember your first Red Lobster experience?
I do. I was in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
I was probably 9 or 10. A lot of people, their early experiences with seafood were at a Red Lobster.
He took over last September, shortly after the chain closed many locations and filed for bankruptcy, along with TGI Fridays, Buca de Beppo, and other restaurant brands in 2024. At age 36, the Nigerian-born Ivy League grad is the youngest CEO in Red Lobster's nearly 60-year history, and he's now taking on its toughest challenge.
Crisis, it forces you to move quickly, make decisions, and you can't stew too long on am I ready or am I not?
Is there a little voice that says, this is not going to work?
No, but I'm not wired that way. I think there's always a way to make something work. You just need to find the solution.
Ultimate endless shrimp is...
Adamalagan immediately made waves by eliminating Red Lobster's iconic endless shrimp deal.
People were eating you out of business.
It's an expensive product. The way they were doing it was unmanaged.
He also trimmed down the menu while introducing new items.
This is quite the spread here.
Quite the spread.
5 years ago, the COVID pandemic caused a seismic shift in casual dining. Full-service chain restaurants saw a nearly 29% drop in sales, compared to just a 2% drop at fast food places. These days, inflation is still preventing many Americans from dining out, while restaurants...
So I just want to play a little bit of that. But, the thing about Red Lobster, I think Red Lobster is one of those places that is kind of caught in a rock and a hard place, right? Because when people think of fine dining now in 2025, you don't really think about Red Lobster. It's not as luxurious as it was back in the day, but the food is still good. I was there. I took my family there last summer. We went there. It was really good. But I think there's two issues, and he mentioned this on the Breakfast Club. Red Lobster, the imprint of the stores are pretty big. They're big stores. The PF Chang's was a lot smaller, so he kind of trimmed down. I don't know if they trimmed down the locations of PF Chang's, but they started focusing on takeout. So the big thing about food, the way things have changed, you have these in-betweens. You have the fast food, like the McDonald's and the Burger Kings, and then you have, not fine dining, but you have actual dining out, like Outback Steakhouse or Texas Roadhouse or any steak place, right? And then you have the in-betweens. You have the Chipotle's, you have the PF Chang's, which are, PF Chang's kind of in the middle. I guess you could call it semi-quote fine dining. But you have these restaurants that are in the middle, Five Guys, places where you go and you spend a good amount of money, but you're not spending, you're not spending $70, $80 per plate. You're probably spending to eat each person, maybe it costs $20, right? So Red Lobster kind of falls somewhere in between the better dining and then the fast food. It's kind of like somewhat either in the middle or obviously leaning towards fine dining. But the point is that the imprint of the store is kind of big. And I think what they need to do is they need to trim that restaurant down and have smaller locations. And that's something he talked about he wanted to do, but they'd have to, tear the real estate down and rebuild. This is really expensive. So I don't know. But anyway, I have a lot of hope for him. I hope he's able to turn Red Lobster around. I still love Red Lobster. If they had smaller restaurants, places where you could kind of maybe pick up and go, they probably sell a lot more food, honestly, because people don't always want to go sit down. I think people are still spending a lot of bread on food. You know what I'm saying? Because look, when I go to Chipotle, for instance, if I go to Chipotle and I get a chicken bowl, for instance, just one person, not counting the kids and the wife, one bowl for me might be around $20 once you get a drink and get some chips and salsa or whatever, or chips and guacamole. So, the money you could spend in Chipotle feeding 4 people could be easily $80, you know what I'm saying, or more. So point being, I hope they're able to trim it down, but I thought it was interesting. So big ups to him. He's a young guy, young black brother, 36 years old, CEO. So hopefully he can turn that around and, turn around some more restaurants. So big kudos to him. But I'm going to dip over to something else. So I wanted to also get into, AI, right? AI, AI is a whole huge subject, but as far as AI, things that AI is going to be taking over. So there's projected a lot of jobs are going to be lost in AI. We already know that, but outside of the jobs per se in manufacturing and things like that, and service, let's talk about the creative side, right? So right now, Hollywood celebrities, there's a open letter to the government to kind of curve. So the Trump administration, for what I understand, they are trying to help with limiting the copyright infringement when it comes to using AI, right? So OpenAI and Google, Jesus, why am I forgetting? I think it's OpenAI and Google. I forgot the name of it, but OpenAI and Google's products, they have AI products which are focused around learning, right, and entertainment. But right now, the learning aspect of it, those companies, the 2 biggest companies, are trying to limit the copyright infringement that may come from using music, using images of actors, using film, XYZ. So in the creative space, there's a lot going on. I mean, a lot of things have changed in the last 20 years. We went from CDs, and then we got to MP3s and streaming, and music is everywhere. I was just talking about that with a buddy of mine, who is has a music licensing company, and how music is being used all over the place is really hard to track. All the money to get it back to the creators. So I'm gonna play this for a minute. These are Hollywood celebrities who are signing up to go against this push to limit copyright liability for AI companies. So let me play a little bit of that, and you guys can let me know what you think. So
in an unexpected twist, a group of Hollywood celebrities previously critical of Donald Trump is now reaching out to him for support on crucial issues surrounding artificial intelligence, AI, and copyright protections. This appeal follows Trump's announcement of a substantial $500 billion initiative aimed at enhancing AI infrastructure in the United States, which is anticipated to create over 100,000 jobs. Prominent figures such as Mark Ruffalo, Olivia Wilde, and Ben Stiller, who have openly condemned Trump in the past, are now united in their request for his intervention. Their concerns focus on proposals from major tech companies like Google and OpenAI, which are seeking exemptions from copyright laws that would allow them to use copyrighted material without proper licensing. The celebrities argue that such exemptions could jeopardize the livelihoods of artists and undermine the creative sector. The letter signed by these stars underscores the necessity of maintaining strong copyright protections to safeguard the interests of creators. This shift in approach highlights the complex dynamics between the entertainment industry and political figures.
Let me pause that for a second. So again, when you look at AI and all the things that are coming up in the next 5 to 10 years, there's so much material. I mean, even right now, even with YouTube, I think there's a lot of, let's say, fair use arguments about material. I mean, we're all all of us, we're all using clips of material from other people, from news stations, from other creators, from movie clips. We're all using a lot of material, right? So, but the question is, honestly, I think the biggest issue is how the hell are you going to track all this? And I think this is where it comes into play, because when you talk about publishing, like if you're talking about music, for instance, right? You're talking about not even just music, film as well. You're talking about licensing, permission to use all this stuff. And if people are just able to access things, and I'm not even talking about AI at this very moment. I'm just talking about people able to use material. You're grabbing clips, audio from everywhere, and it's like, yo, how do you go after that creator to be monetized? You know what I'm saying? To get money for it if you're the original creator. Now, when you talk about AI, we're talking about a whole other thing. I remember when I don't know if this was the first AI song, but when Drake when Drake put out the song and had Tupac on a verse, and it sounded just like Pac. And this AI thing, you can have artists that sound just like the artist. Video now, you can have image. I mean, I've seen so many videos of older version of Tupac walking around the U.S. streets, and it looked real. You know what I'm saying? And it's at a point now that creativity, it's really hard to safeguard against it. So you can see copyright in and of itself is just there to protect the creator, right? But it doesn't mean someone can't infringe upon your copyright. Anyone at any time can go and use your material. The question is, you have to be able to stop them from using the material, or you have to be able to have some recourse if they use your material. You know what I mean? So anybody can take your song and go sample it or do whatever it is, or take a video, take a part of movie you were in and go use it. But the question is, who is gonna enforce those laws? So copyright law is there for you to go ahead and take someone to court if you need to take someone to court, saying, hey, I own the rights of this creation. I created it, or I own the rights of it, and I can enforce the law if I need to go to court to sue someone. But the question is, how do you regulate this stuff? I think that's going to be the biggest issue when it comes to this AI stuff, and it's going to be a lot because technology is going. I mean, they're right now, even at a point where they're saying that they're looking at making movies. They're, looking at making movies with just AI, man. They're not going to need people at all. So we got to figure out how to harness this thing. I'm not against it, but we definitely have to figure out how to make sure we compensate people who do create, and make sure we're not totally getting rid of people. Let me play this though.
Illustrating how urgent issues can lead to unexpected collaborations. As the conversation around AI and copyright evolves, the outcome of this appeal remains uncertain. However, it emphasizes the ongoing challenges faced by the creative community in adapting to the rapid advancements in technology and the implications for intellectual property rights. The potential alliance between these Hollywood stars and Trump could have significant ramifications for the future of copyright law and its impact on the entertainment industry.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think this is a very interesting thing to see. So we're going to see what happens going forward. But, all the creators are going to have to, I don't know. I mean, as far as the law, I don't know what's going to be changed, because again, they're going to have to kind of define what is fair use, right? And then they're going to also have to, if you're talking about movie studios, you're talking about licensing to use a particular piece. If you're going to use a piece of music, a piece of film, how much is that going to cost if it's used? And then as far as music, that's been an ongoing fight, because streaming, they've been just making this up as they go along. You make a song, and if you're, let's say you're signed to a label, you do a million streams, you might get a few, I don't know, $1 off, $10 every million streams or whatever. So, the algorithm and the calculations, rather, what they come up with of what creators get paid, I think this is going to be an ongoing thing. But AI is a whole new animal right now. It's a whole new animal when it comes to creation. It's going to create jobs, right? Because there are people who are going to be programming this. So it's going to be, if you're looking at the creative realm, as far as film and music, there will be jobs of people who are creating it. But if you're creating music or you're creating film, it's it's going to be of a great benefit on one side because you can do a lot with AI. So for instance, they were even talking about with when so one of the things the writers were scared about in Hollywood, they were scared that the writers would only be called for like second drafts, right? So let's say you're a creator, you're a producer, film writer, director as well, and you're all coming together to work on a script, right? Um, they're arguing that people will use AI for the script, right? And then they'll have writers come to kind of revise it. So I think that that's inevitable. I mean, there are people right now that, it's been like this for years where, you have college students that need to write a paper. They can go use, these AI products and come up with the first draft, and then you go and, you go and fix it. So I don't think we can stop it, but how they are going to harness it is another story. So we'll see. But you guys let me know what you think. I'm going to hop into my man Will Smith. Will Smith has come back with a new album after 20 years. He hasn't had an album since 2005. The last album was called Lost and Found. So this new album is called Based on a True Story. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm excited for Will Smith. You know why? Because look, all respect to Chris Rock. He didn't deserve what happened in that smack. But I think obviously the whole world knows the smack didn't have anything to do really with him. I think that, Will Smith, and, this subject has been beaten to death, but, Will Smith, I think when you're with a woman for so long, I don't know about him and Jada, whether they are together. I don't think they're together. I think they're separated, but, they have kids. They'll always be family. But I think that when you're with a woman trying to make a relationship work like that and have her disrespect you like that for so long and having to face that scrutiny, as a man, you got to walk away and you got to have some dignity for yourself so you can stand on your own too. Because to have the way she was doing on that stupid ass show, Red Table Talk, the way she was just making him look stupid and talking about their relationship and he doesn't please her or whatever it is, like, and talking about her sleeping with I forgot his last name. August Alstina, the R&B singer, if I'm saying his name right. And her book, as far as her Forever Love of Tupac, all this stuff is like disrespectful to a man who tried to make a life with you, right? So, and I don't know their relationship in and out, so I'm sure he has some fault too. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for him because it seems like after this smack, Chris Rock caught it, but whatever it was inside of Will that needed to break out and to heal himself from the inside, I think that smack was the beginning of it. It finally let him let it out and kind of look at, okay, where do I need to heal my soul inside? So I think he took some time to do that. And he's made some movies since then, but he faced a lot of backlash and people wasn't rocking with him for a long time because of that smack to Chris Rock. But needless to say, I think some time has gone by and we love to hate the celebrities, but we also love redemption in America. So over time, I think people have just kind of, they're not really worried about disliking him so much. And he's been making music. So let me play a little bit about his new album. It's going to be coming out on March 28th. And I heard a little clip of it. It sound pretty good, man. I mean, Will Smith, again, as he started as a rapper, sometimes people forget that, but he started as a rapper and he was never like hardcore rap, but acting took off for him, and it took off pretty early in his career. So he's obviously known more for being an actor, but he's made some good music over time. And let this play real quick. Let's check it out.
Fresh out of Philly, yeah, I still rep the city. Mirrors on the wall, worth $500
We recently told you about Will Smith's return to the music scene. Well, over the weekend, the Philadelphia native teased his new album in an Instagram post, giving us a first look at the cover. You can see he's decked out in Phillies gear.
I love the reference to the Eagles. The album is titled Based on a True Story. It includes 9 new songs and 5 previously released singles. It's set to drop in about 2 weeks.
That's
Songs and
what's
5.
up. Let me
It
see. He
includes
got
9 new
14 joints on there. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. He got Tiana Taylor on there, Jack Ross, Rave Sermon. Who else is on here? I don't know Obanga, but and obviously Big Sean. So it looks like he's gonna drop this album on the 28th. I saw this clip on YouTube, excuse me, on Instagram. It's a little clip of him doing this rap, and I'm like, okay, let me play this real quick. I'm like, yo, Will Smith is trying to come back hard, and it's also good too. We see our veterans, look, rap has always been known as a young man's sport, but I think what's good is that what's changing is that I think people's attitude are like, yo, if your music is good, people will listen to you. And now you're seeing a lot of artists who are older. Redman's album was really good, and Redman is probably around that age, probably upper 40s, maybe, or maybe 50 by now. But Redman's album is really good. He's really making really good music. Snoop obviously dropped the album recently. Snoop is 50. His album was crazy. A lot of these guys are getting better with time. So.
Look at this code on me. Ay, tell me who cold is me. Ay, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I mean, I'm right where that supposed to be. Ay, save all the jokes for me, cause it ain't a joke to me. I pull up with gang, they gon' turn around and make a toast to me. Straight out of Philly, I came out the gutter. I still hit the city with all of my brothers. I might go to Overbrook, get me a cheesesteak, cause I got all this bread and butter. They tried to clone me, make it a body double, but I promise it won't be another. I had enough, I ain't with the tough talk. I mean, did I just stutter?
Okay, all right, Big Willie's back. So big ups to him though. I'm happy for him because again, I feel like he's worked so hard all his life. And look, man, you got to watch the person that you marry, man. I think that Jada, she was a mistake, man. He really shouldn't have married her. Her aura was always dark. You could feel her aura all the time. It was always dark and unhappy. She always had that vibe, and even in her film, she had that vibe. And she was great. I loved her in Set It Off. I loved her in Menace to Society, and I mean, she's been in other movies, but her aura is dark, and it works in acting. It works in certain areas she needed to be in. But as far as their relationship together, she never seemed like she wanted to be with him. And I think she didn't dim his light as far as being a celebrity, but I think she dimmed his light internally. So it's good that it seems like he's healing now, making new music, and you can always reinvent yourself, man. As long as you're not 6 feet under the ground, you can always do something new. So big ups to Will Smith. I'm going to be checking out the new album. I don't know if I'm going to buy the new album. I'll be honest. I haven't bought an album in a while, but I'll be listening to it. I'll be streaming it at least. So I'm going to check it out. I think it's going to be some good joints on there. And it'll be good to see, how he's evolved. And I'm sure that, I don't know if he's going to talk about anything personal, but it just at least seems like he's evolved and is going to go towards being happy. So, but on other rap news, I got to get into Kanye to the Ye and Diddy were talking on the phone. Everybody's been playing this audio. So Diddy is set to go to trial. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's in May. So he might be about 40 to 50 days out of trial. So this is going to be interesting because, again, this story was hot with Diddy early on after the Cassie stuff came out, and then he ended up getting arrested. They wouldn't give that man bail, even if he gave them 10 truckloads of cash straight from Brinks. They was like, nah, you're not getting out of jail. Hell no. And it's interesting, man. So him and Ye were on the phone, and I thought it was interesting because Ye, Kanye West is like, I don't know. Kanye West, I don't really know what's on him, to be honest with you. I never really know. Always doing the unexpected. So, but anyway, he did end up reaching out to Diddy. I'm gonna play a little bit of the audio, and there's also a song that he has Diddy on a song featuring another artist from Chicago, and then also has his daughter Northwest on the album, or not on the album, on the song. And apparently Kim Kardashian was not happy about her being on the song, and her name is also trademarked. So I think she tried to block her daughter from being on the song. I don't know. But anyway, let me play this.
I appreciate you, Bird up, man. Yeah, absolutely. I love you so much, man. It's like you raised me
Kanye West drops a new song and it features his daughter Northwest and Sean Diddy Combs. On March 15th, the rapper shares to X, formerly Twitter, a new song titled Lonely Roads Still Go to Sunshine, which he states is a song by Puff Daddy, which is another name for Sean Combs, and also features Combs' son King, Kanye's daughter North, and new Yeezy artist Chicago Jasmine Williams. The song starts out with what appears to be a voice recording of Combs speaking to Kanye on the phone.
Thank you so much for just taking care of my kids, man. And ain't nobody reach out to them. Ain't nobody call them. You know what I'm saying? Nobody.
Let me pause that for a minute. So Ye has reached out to Diddy. I mean, I guess, you know, they go back a while because, you know, even before Ye blew up, you know, he knew Diddy and was doing some stuff for Bad Boy, working under what's my man D.O.G.E. So D.O.G.E. actually, I believe he put Kanye on. So I think one of the first, I want to say, I don't know if he was signed to to D.O.G.E.'s company, D.O.G.E. Angeletti. But I know that whether he was signed to him or not doesn't matter. But I believe he gave Kanye one of his first shots, and I think he hooked up I think Kanye's first big credit was producing something for Jermaine Dupri back in '98. But needless to say, him and Puff had a relationship for a long time, and you know, Puff talks about in the audio how nobody's reached out to him. Ye is the only person who reached out to him and has been kind of looking out for his kids, and it's interesting. So let me play a little bit more of this, though.
Saying that meant so much. You know what I'm saying? That you reached out to them and took the money and went while I'm in this far. Man, I appreciate you. Word up, man. Yeah, absolutely. I love you so much, man. It's like you raised me even when I didn't know you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm feeling love, man.
As for North's part, she can be heard later in the song rapping.
Doing everything I wanted, that's the key to life. When you see me shining, then you see the light. Running through the jungle like a cheetah ride. Surrounded by fake friends I don't even like. When you see me shining, then you see the light. When you see me shining, then you see the light. Everything they wrote, it ain't even right. Okay, good night.
In addition to the song, Kanye shared now deleted screenshots of a conversation he had with ex-wife Kim Kardashian, where he threatened to go to, quote, war after she attempted to halt the song's release when sharing she had North's name trademarked. According to TMZ, the text conversation starts with Kanye saying, quote, I'm never speaking with you again. Kim replies saying, I asked you at the time if I can trademark her name. You said yes. When she's 18, it goes to her. So stop. I sent paperwork over so she wouldn't be in the Diddy song to protect her. One person has to trademark. The outlet.
Hold on for a second. So, so you trademarked your daughter's name. I mean, look, it's entertainment, and I'm sure there's a business reason why you would trademark your daughter's name. So, but I guess Kim didn't want her on the song, and for obvious reasons, you know, because of what Diddy's going through. So, but Ye is he's unhinged a little bit. So, let me play some more of this.
That reportedly adds that Kim and Kanye agreed to have all their kids' names trademarked when they were born. To which Kanye responds, amended or I'm going to war. Neither of us will recover from the public fallout. You're going to have to kill me. E! News has.
Hold on, let me go back. My man said,
cover from the public fallout.
You're going to have to kill me. So Ye will go all the way out. Ye don't give a damn about nothing. So if I were Kim, I would just go ahead and let him do what he need to do and do the song, you know, because I think there's no telling what Kanye would do. But I do find it interesting that Kanye, I wouldn't think of Kanye being the only one in Diddy's corner, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me. So I don't know about having a daughter on the song, but you know, Kanye, he's betting it all, you know. And I think at this point he doesn't really have much to lose because he's pretty much he's gone against any and everybody. You know what I'm saying? So now standing in Diddy's corner, like I said, Diddy's set to go to trial in May. I want to see what's going on because I feel like the trial is, well, not the trial, but the news about Diddy and all the stuff that's been going on, it was heavy. Everybody was talking about it, going hard. It's died down a lot because there's so much going on in the world. But I did take a look at a few lawyers. Mark Garagos was one of them. They was talking about Diddy's case, and it's going to be interesting to see what the feds actually have because obviously there's tons of civil lawsuits, but as far as criminal what he's in jail for, this human trafficking, kidnapping, rape. I don't know if rape, I don't even know if rape is on there. Rape might be just me part of the civil, but whether he is actually gonna go to jail for the charges, because we all know feds have a high conviction rate, but some of the lawyers were speculating that the feds don't really have a lot of meat on the bone as far as the case. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in May. But if Diddy gets out, obviously he does have one friend on the outside waiting for him, and that's going to be Kanye, because everybody else got the hell, either they're silent or they got the hell away from Diddy. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be interesting. But if he does get out, I don't know. It's just a new. I listened to the whole audio between him and Kanye, and Diddy, as he should, he sounds very grateful that he has a friend on his side, willing to actually you know, talk with him and be there for him. So it's an interesting situation. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep my eyes open for that and see what happens with that. But we'll see. Now we got to talk about the Teslas that are burning. We got to talk about the Teslas, right? So this country is gone crazy. It's really gone crazy. You know, people are burning Tesla stations. They're burning charging stations. They're burning Tesla cars, cyber trucks, and it's turned into anarchy in some areas because it's almost like people think that Elon Musk is the biggest enemy of the country now. They feel like Elon Musk is running the country, not Donald Trump. And look, I've been open about the fact that I'm not happy with the Democrats. I did not vote Democrat. I voted for Donald Trump. I thought he was the better choice of the two, right? So we just get that out the way. Now, with Elon Musk coming in, there's still the Trump derangement syndrome, as they say. Everybody hates Donald Trump. And then you also have people who are now focused more on Elon Musk than Donald Trump. Elon is the biggest enemy. Why? Because they started Doge, right? Now, when they started Doge and started looking into all the waste and all the things they're coming up with, a lot of people agree. And then you have a lot of people, roughly, half of the country or 40% of the country are not so happy about Doge. But needless to say, before this all happened, before Elon got involved with the government itself, everybody loved Tesla. Americans love, well, not Americans didn't love electric cars, but the trend was going towards electric cars. The government, Joe Biden's administration, they had huge incentives to get electric vehicles. So the Democrats were all about electric cars and all of that. All good with Tesla until Elon started Doge. Now he is the enemy of enemies. And the Democratic Party has been fueling this hatred. So everybody who is angry, you have a lot of people out there burning these Teslas, burning these charging stations. And let me say this before I go to the video. You know, a lot of people have been saying, Elon Musk, his whole motivation is to get money, and he's going to be stealing money, and the money that's saved, if he finds any, is going to be for him and his friends, and it's a way for them to launder or embezzle money, which is such a stupid thing, right? Elon Musk is worth so much money. First of all, the man is the richest guy on the country, excuse me, the richest guy in the world. He's worth like $400 billion. In addition to that, if you look at what this guy's going through, if I had that much money, I don't know if I'd be going through all this stuff. You have to really want to do something like Doge to get involved, because it can't be about money. Tesla stock has dropped what, 25% in the last 2 months, right? Since Trump got in office. Tesla stock has been dropping. They are burning charging stations, they're burning the cars. So it's not a good thing for Tesla. This is a headache actually for Elon Musk, to be honest with you. I don't see what he gains as far as monetarily. And if you're talking about power, what power do you need if you got $400 billion, $400 billion? What type of power are you seeking at that point? You know what I'm saying? So I've watched many interviews with him. I've listened to him talk about Doge, listened to him talk about the things that they have found, the goals of Doge. And whether you agree or disagree, the idea that he's doing this for money is stupid. I'll just be honest with you. You know, either you're just not listening or you're determined just to find something evil about it, right? Without even understanding what the goal is. So, needless to say, let me play this video real quick and we'll see what's going on with the Teslas on fire. And then after that, I everybody's mad at Doge, but I'm gonna go back to some footage from Barack Obama, because the Doge concept, the things that they're talking about as far as saving in the government, the current administration, the things that they're talking about in relation to cutting, it's not necessarily a new concept. But let me let this play.
Video out of our monitors out of Las Vegas. It shows multiple Teslas on fire in what police are calling a targeted attack. Police found at least 5 Teslas burned or shot at with guns. This happening at a Tesla facility in Las Vegas. The incident follows a string of protests and violence targeting Tesla across the country over Tesla CEO Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. So CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez joining us live now from Las Vegas. You know, Elon Musk is calling this quote unquote terrorism, but what do we know at this point?
Well, it's not only the CEO of Tesla that's calling it terrorism. The local head of the FBI office here in Las Vegas said that this had the hallmarks of terrorism. He points out that there was the writing on the front doors of this repair shop, the words resist, which may lead to a political agenda, a political motivation behind this attack. Then there was the act of violence, Molotov cocktails used to set at least 5 cars on fire, 2 of them fully engulfed. Some of the charred remains right there in the parking lot. Officers right now maintaining a visible presence out here at this repair shop and at dealerships across the Las Vegas area. Meanwhile, detectives at the headquarters right now are scouring several pieces of evidence. Some of that video from folks that took video from across the street. This happened in the middle of the night on Tuesday morning around.
Look at this stupid shit. Look at this. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that the Democratic Party did it, but you got to keep in mind the language that they're putting out there is inciting this type of energy, right? So they're making it seem like Elon, not that they disagree with a particular policy or they disagree with any particulars that they want to negotiate or just talk about civilly. They've turned it into something personal. Everything is extremely personal. And if you look at it, that's why the Democratic Party approval ratings are so low, because this is what it's become. This is all attributed. It's not the Democratic Party doing the crimes, but this is the sentiment that's being put out there. So it's that Elon is trying to destroy America, and it's just stupidity. You know what I'm saying? So going over here burning these Teslas, and now I've seen other videos, even of some politicians saying they're no longer driving their Tesla. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous. Again, this is the same party who is all about electric vehicles, you know, and saving the environment. And now they're doing this. Now we're burning Teslas, and all for somebody who doesn't need to do this job. And again, whether we want to agree or not disagree, we have to look at the fact that you can't really unsee. You can't unsee some of the things they found as far as waste and fraud and abuse. You can't unsee it. So burning these vehicles honestly doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't make the Democrats look good, and it makes it look like they are helping to incite this type of violence. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go do this, what if they end up killing somebody? It's not going to hurt Elon Musk. Elon Musk is stinking rich. So these Teslas they're burning doesn't hurt him. It hurts the company, and it hurts employees that work at Tesla, right? The Tesla stock dropped, like I said. Tesla has employees. So even the Tesla employees, some of the Tesla employees, maybe they didn't vote for Trump, right? But they're still employees. So a lot of people have to think and say to themselves, what are they really doing? What are they really mad about? Is everything Doge is doing is bad? Everything they're doing is that bad where you got to go burn the cars? Come on.
3 a.m. So it caused a lot of commotion. Folks woke up, broke out their cell phones, took video of the guy dressed in all black, firing shots at some of the vehicles besides tossing those Molotov cocktails. They're also reviewing surveillance cameras from a nearby thoroughfare. It's a major thoroughfare, so a lot of surveillance cameras as well as license plate readers. So they're extracting all that data, trying to trace back the steps of this suspect. And once they catch this guy, they're going to be trying him to the fullest extent of the law. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying that these acts of vandalism are going to be treated as domestic terrorism. And while there is not a single specific federal domestic terrorism charge in the law books, there are a series of other charges that they can bring up that would essentially chalk it up to that level. Pam Bondi saying that some of these folks, if convicted, would be in federal prison for at least 5 years. Just last Friday, they arrested 2 guys out in Colorado for setting Molotov cocktails there and setting some of those cars on fire, and some of the charges that they face. I'm going to go ahead and read those to you just because I want to make sure that we get these right. They are facing, the 2 men facing the use of explosive incendiary devices during a felony, possession of such devices, second-degree arson.
These guys using IEDs like they going to war over DOGE, who's actually helping the country. At the end of the day, man, I'm gonna play this Obama video in a minute. I'm gonna play this in a minute because all of y'all who complain about DOGE, and again, I don't have a problem with people disagreeing. I think that's healthy to have disagreements, but the idea that Elon Musk is evil and DOGE is just evil, trying to destroy America, y'all aren't paying attention. Y'all aren't paying attention to any details. You can disagree with the details, but the actual premise, you can't be that narrow-minded to be like, oh, it's just about destroying the country. They have been finding ways to save. And again, I'm gonna play this Obama video from 2011. And then I want people to think about the fact, is it that you hate DOGE, or do you hate the person? Do you hate the savings and the cutting of things that may be waste? Do you hate that, or do you hate the person who's doing it, right? So I'm gonna let this play, then I'm gonna play the Obama video.
Arson and criminal mischief. So again, if these gentlemen are convicted, they may face up to 5 years in federal prison. So right now, for law enforcement, they're trying to get this guy. There's a lot of resources being devoted to this particular case here in Las Vegas, given the high-profile nature of the case. And the biggest concern for these guys is that for law enforcement is the fact that right now, a lot of these incidents of vandalism have been the keying of these Tesla vehicles, the setting them on fire. No driver has been physically hurt, but they're worried that it may escalate to that.
Exactly.
Andres Gutierrez.
That's the biggest thing. Is somebody's going to end up getting killed because y'all don't like Elon Musk. It's stupid. Y'all are going to end up, somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get burnt. It might end up becoming a child or somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody innocent who ain't got nothing to do with anything. So let me go over to this video though, because look, we're talking about who was the last president, Joe Biden, right? And he wasn't with us the last maybe 6 months to a year, right? Because he obviously had dementia. Anybody with common sense could see he had dementia, but he didn't have dementia back in 2011, right? So I'm going to play this Obama video. I got to play this because everybody who hates DOGE, I hope they'll take a listen to this. The only difference between Obama's DOGE, because this sounds a lot like DOGE when I play this video. The only difference is that him and his vice president at the time, Joe Biden, didn't do nothing. So meaning that they talked about some of this stuff, but they didn't do anything. Let me let this play.
Elon Musk getting some backlash from Democrats over wanting to cut the deficit.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt. The president's very dedicated to solving the budget deficit, which if we don't solve the budget deficit, we're going to go bankrupt as a country. Let me go bankrupt as a country. There's no Social Security, there's no Medicare, there's no nothing.
Let's get to
Elon Musk sounds reasonable. Guess who else wanted to cut government waste? Oh, wait for it, President Obama.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
Hold up, hold up, hold up. Let me play this again. You know what I'm saying? I think people need to watch this again. If you hate Doge, listen to what he said again. If I could scratch this like a record, I wouldn't. And just play it back like a record, like let me go back. Let's see what he said from the beginning. This is Barack Obama in 2011, right? Let it rock again.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about.
Wait a minute. Did he say getting rid of the deficit? Did he say getting rid of the deficit will take some difficult decisions? Is that what he said? Isn't that what the administration right now has been talking about? The deficit, the $2 trillion. All right.
But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit.
So Obama wants to get rid of waste. So then why is President Trump being dragged for laying out wasteful spending?
$29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh. Nobody knows what they mean by political landscape. What does that mean? $20 million for fiscal federalism and $19 million for biodiversity in Nepal. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. What the hell do I care about?
Well, there's another president who sounds an awful lot like President Trump again.
Did you know the federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers? They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters, and there are hundreds of similar sites that we should consolidate or just get rid of.
This don't sound a lot different. It don't. Him and Trump. It sounds like the same objective. Two different presidents at two different times. Sound like the same objective to me.
By the way, you're not only paying for websites no one needs. You're paying for thousands of buildings all across the country no one uses.
Oh, wait a minute. All these buildings we're not using. That sounds like what's going on in 2025. That sounds like all the buildings they've been finding. Some of the buildings, a building in D.C. they just talked about the other day, they said that there are 2,900 employees that are supposed to be there physically, but on any given day, the maximum that comes in the office is 49 people out of 2,900 people in this particular building. And they spend $55 million a year on the lease payments. And there's many buildings like this. This is in 2025. Now, Barack Obama just talked about what? Buildings being used, this in 2011, that can be waste. Let me play it again.
Buildings all across the country no one uses.
Oh, wait, and it gets better. President Obama went further and started a campaign to get rid of government waste. And guess who he put in charge? His vice president, Joe Biden.
Did she say Joe Biden? The last president who was just in office that everybody thought was so great? Oh, let me let that play.
We need to step up our game. We need to go after every dime. We need to make government work for you. That's why, starting today, I've asked the vice president to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste.
Oh, I know the campaign to cut waste. Everybody who's mad about DOGE right now, my God, if they can just listen to this video, if they would say, oh, no, it's different. Yeah, it is different. They just didn't cut waste back then. They just was talking.
Was the right man to lead it because nobody messes with Joe.
I mean, I get that.
Oh, word. That's what we doing, right? So when you watch that, no, it's just funny to me. Look, I voted for Barack Obama, and I would have voted for him all over again in 2008. He was the better choice in 2008. He obviously was better than John McCain and Sarah Palin. I couldn't vote for them. They were reckless. They sounded crazy. and they sound a lot like the Democrats right now. So that was another time, another lifetime for some people. 2008 was another time. However, with Barack coming in, all the stuff he said in that video in 2011 is not controversial. Actually, people probably thought it was a good thing. Why? We were coming off of the financial crisis in 2009 or 2008 going into 9, right? We had Merrill Lynch went out of business. Bear Stearns went out of business. AIG almost collapsed all the way together, which would have destroyed the whole world, according to everybody. So they were too big to fail. A lot of banks went under, mad foreclosures. House values dropped like a rock, right? So we're coming out of that. And the government spent a lot of money bailing everybody out, didn't they? They spent a lot of money saving the world as they did in 2009, right? So, of course, it makes sense by 2011 that our commander-in-chief, Barack Obama, was talking about, yo, we need to save some money. We need to save some money. We got to start looking at government waste, right? We need to work on our deficit, right? And now Trump is in office with Elon Musk, and they formed the Department of Government Efficiency, right? And Barack Obama, he just said that he formed something similar, and who was going to run it at the time? Joseph Biden, right? Now, how much money did they save? Were they really serious about it? I'd say no, because you didn't really hear about it during their term. And it's not cutting government waste was not something that Barack Obama was known for, right? There wasn't anything near DOGE, right? They didn't go in and really look at entitlement programs and spending. They didn't look at cutting employees. They didn't look at cutting all the stuff that was going on. The military stuff is a whole nother thing. So Barack was look, man, Barack got it in. Barack got it in on all the things. Again, I would have voted for him all over again in 2008, if you ask me. So I don't regret my vote, but Barack was involved in a lot of military killing. Let's keep it honest. And maybe it's what he had to do at the time. He was involved in a lot of deportation, and all of y'all who are crying about deportation, Barack Obama deported upwards, I believe, of $5 million people, right? I could be wrong, but it's somewhere in that range. It might be somewhere between 4 and 5 million. So he deported people. He was the deporter in chief. He deported people, and he talked about this in 2011 in regards to saving money. He talked about we need to save money to work on our deficit. So point being is that what he's talking about is nothing new. It's nothing new. The only difference is that him and Joe Biden didn't go hard. They didn't do the things that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. Why? Because it's hard to do what they're doing. To go in and really look at our entitlements, our spending in all these different areas, to let go of employees and look at departments and say we need to cut employees, who's productive, who's not productive. We need to end leases, cut leases in these buildings that we don't have people in. Again, this isn't something new. He talked about all these buildings that weren't being used, that they're spending money on in 2011, right? That was 14 years ago. And we still have a lot of the things going on now. So people don't like who is doing it, right? They don't like who's doing it. But what's being done, again, is not a new concept. You can listen to the video and see that there. So when you look at DOGE and what they're doing right now, the only difference is that Barack Obama and Joe Biden did not go to the extent to really, really cut government spending. Donald Trump, when he said he was going to cut government spending, that guy was serious. He wasn't playing. He wasn't just talking. He wasn't just trying to just campaign and just say something. Nah, he's on it. He ain't been in office 2 months. He was on it from day one, hit the ground running. So cutting government spending is actually cutting government spending. It's looking at what the government spends and cutting it. It's not about talking. So yes, it's unpopular. It's uncomfortable. It's a big change. But at the end of the day, that's exactly what he said he was going to do. And that's where I look at people and I say, you guys are bugging out. You're bugging out. You're acting like it's something new. And all of this, I say all this to say that people take all this and then they're running saying, oh, he's evil. He wants to destroy America. And they're going to burn Teslas. Could you imagine if Barack Obama actually went forward, him and Joe Biden back in 2011, to really start cutting government spending. Can you imagine if they actually put in some real actionable items to really cut government spending, and then you had idiots going to burn stuff because they feel like, oh, he's destroying the world? Nah, people like Barack Obama. They liked him. Most people didn't know what the hell he was doing during his term. Let's keep it honest. Most of us didn't know. A lot of us voted for him because we liked him. And that's what we do in America. We vote based on identity. But the difference now is that, and again, I'm not going to go back into Kamala, but the difference, the political landscape has changed so much because people do vote on identity to an extent now. But why? The reason why that's changing, and even for myself, the reason why I didn't vote for Democrat the way I normally would is I started paying attention. I started listening to people who are on YouTube, like myself. I started listening to information and saying to myself, okay, you know what? Let me take a step back. I didn't even have to listen to people on YouTube. I just needed to look and pay attention to what I was seeing. And the people, other content creators, helped me see that I'm not crazy for what I'm seeing. I'm actually seeing a party that is out of touch, right? And a party that is just angry about this person. They're not angry about policies, right? So, and a lot of the politicians on the Democratic side, to me, a lot of them are angry because they are becoming irrelevant, and they are worried about losing their political position. I don't think they're really worried about the country. If you're really worried about the country, you do things that are hard and unpopular. Donald Trump, look, I'm not saying he's the greatest, president in the world or the greatest person, and that's neither here nor there. It's not about whether I like him or not, but leading and doing things that are unpopular is hard work, right? It's easy to do things people want. You could if Elon Musk wanted to keep, if he wanted to get money, if that was the motivation for this DOGE thing, they wouldn't talk about government spending. They would just go ahead and join the current corruption. They could easily just join what was already going on and scoop up money off the top. And that's not what's happening. So needless to say, I hope people take a look at that Barack Obama video. I'm going to talk about this in another podcast with some of my panelists, because I want people to watch that video and understand that the concept you guys are seeing is not new. You know what I'm saying? It's just actually being implemented, right? So, but nonetheless, that's what's up with that. And the last thing I'm going to get into, this is crazy. This is on a whole nother subject, but listen, the banks, one of the things people have to understand too, like in America, and I talked about this on the last video I did, manufacturing has changed and has diminished a lot in America, right? So the main industries in America, one of the main industries we have is banking, right? Banking is a huge industry. And there was a time where if you remember, if you go back to 2009, after the beginning of the turnaround for the financial crisis, keep in mind, all these banks participated in the bullshit during the housing crisis. All of them were involved in underwriting bad loans, which eventually tore down the whole system. Some banks more guilty than others, right? But point being is that when the government used our tax dollars, U.S. tax dollars, to bail out most of these companies, right? Most of them. Some of them, they let them drown, like I said. Bear Stearns drowned, Merrill Lynch drowned, a few other ones drowned. But, the big ones that were saved, they used U.S. taxpayer dollars. And you know what happened? After the government bailed out a lot of these banks, you know what the banks started doing? They started dialing it up on the service fees and the insufficient fund fees. So they start hitting everybody up. And a lot of the losses that they took, even though they were bailed out, they used a lot of these fees to kind of start recouping. So there are a lot of accounts where they used to not charge not insufficient funds, but more service fees. Insufficient fund fees they do, but service fees just to have the account, just to have your little couple $1,000 if you have that in the bank, or even to have your couple $100 a month. Places like Chase still hit you with that $15 service fee. Just for me to hold your $100 in the account, I'm gonna still charge you $15. And guess what? The banks, they lend at a 10-to-1 rate. So meaning that for every $100 you put in your account, they take that $100 and they lend out $1,000, right? So they can lend out 10 times what they take in for deposits. But point being, the reason why I bring this up. So where we're at now, cybersecurity and cybercrime and bank fraud and fraud in general in financials is happening at an all-time high, right? So let me go into this story. This woman lost her life savings at a Chase bank. She had been saving all this time and she had a savings account. So what she did was responsible. She decided to make a savings account where she didn't have access to the bread. She didn't have access to the money. So what she would do is that she opened an account where she has to go physically into the bank to get the money. That's what you do when you really, you don't trust yourself or you want to make sure, hey, I don't touch this bread. So she kept the money in there and she doesn't always check the account. So needless to say, somebody was going into the branch and essentially pretending to be her. But let me play this. This made me mad when I watched this. Let me play this. It's crazy. Crazy stuff.
When was the last time you checked the balance of your savings account? If you haven't looked for a while, your bank may not have your back if there's fraud on your account. This is a lesson one Calumet Heights woman learned the hard way, unfortunately. PJ Randhawa shares the story.
And this is in Chi-Town, so.
I worked my butt off.
For 18 years, Courtney White was a sergeant with the Markham Police Department, and that's where she got her nickname.
I was the overtime queen at work, so all my overtime money went into my savings for my family.
To help those savings grow, Courtney set up a Chase bank account in 2001 with no debit card and no checks.
I deliberately had my savings account set up where I would have to walk into the bank to make transactions.
And that's what Courtney did every month for years to withdraw money for her son's allowance.
How much money had been in there up until that point?
Probably about $100,000, between 80 and 100.
But one day in the fall of 2022, Courtney heard the words many of us dread: insufficient funds. For the first time in months, she checked her account balance.
There were daily withdrawals, probably two to four every day, thousands of dollars.
She learned someone had been impersonating her, withdrawing a total of $87,000 from her Chase account, mostly in person at this Chase branch on 103rd Street. It happened for more than a year.
If you look at all of the withdrawal slips, you can clearly see the difference.
Look at that. That is wild work. So she saved over $100,000. Somebody's going into the bank, withdrawing money in person, because keep in mind, she doesn't take money out the savings account any other way. And look at the writing on this. But let me let this keep playing, because this story.
It's in the handwriting. So I don't know how they couldn't catch that.
Courtney filed a police report and has filed several fraud claims with Chase Bank since then, but all of them denied. The reason? Chase said she hadn't reported the fraud within 30 days of receiving her statement.
Somebody should have recognized that this is an outrageous amount of transactions every day. There should have been some sort of alert. I've never banked like that. And like I said, I've had Chase for 20 years.
NBC5 Response took a closer look at that Chase Bank branch on 103rd. Chicago police records show more than half a dozen Chase customers who used this branch reported unauthorized withdrawals on their accounts within the past few years. The scenarios described, all similar to Courtney's. The data also gave us more insight into what else was happening inside this Chase branch. We found more than a dozen Chase customers reported they were robbed or scammed while using the ATM inside the branch. Also frustrating, when it came to Courtney's case, she said Chase wouldn't provide any surveillance video to show who was making all of those withdrawals. In a statement,
that's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm gonna let this keep playing, then I'm gonna give my little commentary, because this, man, listen. It couldn't be me, man. It couldn't be me. But I check my account balances all the time. So.
And a Chase Bank spokesperson told NBC5 Response it reviewed Ms. White's case from 3 years ago and has not reversed its decision. In response to our questions about all the police reports filed at Courtney's Chase branch, they would only say the safety of our employees and customers is our top priority, and our security team works closely with local law enforcement to monitor and ensure that. But as a result of losing her life savings, Courtney says she had to make the heartbreaking decision to take her son out of private school.
I worked hard for that money. And that's what I did for a living, help people who are big.
This is crazy though. This is crazy. This couldn't be me. I'd be so mad. But she said, first of all, it takes a lot. She's a Markham police officer. She saved her bread, saved $100,000. So she knows she was working hard, saving her money. She made sure she put it in a savings account where she couldn't access it without going there physically. And that's why she probably was able to save so effectively, right? Now, Chase, listen, I got a bomb on Chase. Even though I bank with them, I got a bomb on them real quick because I think it's reckless that they're not going to give her a surveillance video. So if somebody's going into the bank, right, and she, here's the thing. With financial institutions, especially Chase, if you start doing withdrawals that are uncharacteristic of the algorithm of how you bank, meaning that they look at how you bank. So if you're someone who doesn't typically withdraw money every day, they start to, red flags come up. Like if you use your Chase card, and even some other banks, if you use your card out of state or you use your card at a place you don't typically go to, they'll send you a text. Like sometimes they'll stop the transaction and send you a text to verify that you're the person who spent the money. So what's weird to me is that I don't understand how they had first of all, they had uncharacteristic transactions. So she was saying that she's been saving the money. She doesn't withdraw because she doesn't go into the bank. She's been saving this money. So you start seeing thousands and thousands of dollars being withdrawn every day. $87,000 over the course, I believe they said, of 6 months to a year. So you start seeing money being taken out every day, thousands of dollars, right? And it's uncharacteristic. So she reports to them. The reason why, I don't even know if, I don't think I played the video all the way, but the reason why Chase is not trying to reimburse her, because they have a rule that if you have fraud on your account, you have to report it within 30 days. Now, because she doesn't use this account day in, day out for her living expenses, it's something she just saves money in. She don't check the account like that. So she said it may have been a couple months that went by, 2 months or 3 months, where she hadn't checked the balance. And you could understand why, because she's not using this money day in, day out. I could see that happening, right? So Chase has that policy. So they're saying, well, because the fraud wasn't reported in 30 days, we can't reimburse you. It's just, you just ass out. And then she asking for surveillance video. I'm like, yo, you guys, they better turn over that video, because she should definitely sue them. Because if it's one thing if you're talking about a card being used and it's been used and the PIN number has been used and all that, but you're talking about someone physically coming into the bank. They have the surveillance video. And on top of that, they have the slips. Somebody has to fill it out. Somebody's forging her name so you can see the handwriting is wrong. So there's just too much there. Chase is doing that. To me, I don't care about that 30-day rule. They're just being greedy and they're being irresponsible as a bank. You know what I'm saying? And if they have surveillance video of whoever's been coming in withdrawing that money, that would easily show that it's not her, because she's the only one on the account as far as this story goes. So if it ain't her who's coming in on video and her name has been signed wrong, because again, that's why they have you sign stuff at the bank, so they know your signature. So this is just crazy. And I think Chase is really whack for doing this. So let me play the rest of this story real quick.
Victims of crimes, fraud, and here I became a victim myself.
Here are some key takeaways. Make it a habit to check the balance on all your bank accounts. Like Chase, your bank may require you to file a fraud claim for suspicious charges within 30 days of receiving your account statement. Set up balance or transaction alerts for your accounts, even the ones you don't use very often. PJ Randhawa.
Nah, Chase, get out of here though. But I mean, I check my balances all the time. But Chase, like I said, they be on it when you spend your money in a weird place that you never have. TD Bank is on that type of time too, and Wells Fargo, I believe too. So they will just stop you. They will just deny a transaction if it's somewhere you're not typically at. So for them, she needs to sue them, because this woman, she is working. She's not rich. Police officers don't make that much money. And if she's been working a long time, saving $100,000 over the course of years, and somebody steals $87,000 from her, and they're just like, well, you didn't report it in 30 days. It's crazy work. So, but nonetheless, Let me know what you guys think in the comments about everything. If you have not hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all the new subscribers. We're building the channel. We'll have another episode as far as the panel coming in a couple of days. Reaction videos as always. And of course, you're tuned into the Crucial Convo podcast. It's your boy Kojo. I appreciate you. Peace and love. We out of here. Peace.